Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Arief Budi Maulana, NPM 1191040272, and I will talk about textbook writing guidelines and aspect of textbook assessment. Uh, and then I will talking again in about textbook function. Citing document published through SC Nurjati AC.id. The benefit it is of textbook according Jean practice as follow. Reflect the modern point of view on teaching and demonstrate application in such teaching material. Presenting main source of easy to read and varied problem needed in the learning process, especially to improve expressional skills. Third, provides a source expressive skill. 4. Present teaching method are meant to motivate students or student. And 5th, present fixation as support for practical exercise and task. And the last, presenting the right material or mean of evaluation and remedial. And the stage that must be considered before making a textbook. Before making a textbook, of course, there are several stages that must be considered. This is further discussed by Prawira Dilaga in 2007, which states there are at least 4 stages in the making of textbook. I will talk the simple, and the first is need analysis stage. Second, product design stage. Third, validation and evaluation. And the last, final product stage. And the aspect of the textbook, I'll go talk again. As we know before, a textbook according to experts are dominant to leading learning media role in the classroom. Therefore, lesson must be properly designed and correctly with due regard to certain standard. The following will explain the aspect in the textbook. They are included in material, serving, language and readability, and the last, graphic. And the next is the assessment of teaching material. Assessment is qualitative or narrative statement in words. Meanwhile, teaching material are one of the source of knowledge for students or students in school and in college, which mean are that greatly support the process of teaching and learning activities. And good and quality teaching material, in addition to being a source of knowledge that can support the success of student learning, can also guide and direct the teaching and learning process in the classroom towards a quality learning process. It must be realized how important the assessment of teaching material before the teaching material is used in the learning process. And about the aspect assessed in the textbook, some very important aspects to assess are material, presentation of material, readability, serage or ethic, religious, racial and gender background, and language. And I will talk about the material. About material, the subject matter in learning presented in the textbook with sub aspect. In first, conformly the material with the syllabus developed. The second, selection and organization of material in accordance with the understanding of the learner. And next is serving. This aspect of presentation can be described into sub-aspects. First, the purpose or indicator of learning presentation is clearly stated. And the second, presentation of teaching material in an integrated manner and accordance with the characteristic of learners. And the last is presentation of teaching material encourage active and creative learners. And the reliability is the concern with the level of ease of language for the group level of student. And about the level of language in reliability, there are in the first is word, second tenses, and the third paragraph, and the last is text or discourse. And about the sarag, SARAG, or it calls ethnic, religious, racial, and gender background. It is the text or discourse an image or illustration, and this is the talk is the content of the text of or discourse does not lead a particular religion or belief. And the second, the context of the text and discourse does not lead to the background of a particular tribe. And the third, the context of the text or discourse does not lead to a particular social stratum. And the last, the content of the text or discourse does not lead to particular gender. And the next is about the language. The language means to delivering and presenting materials that become the measure of the quality of teaching material. And about the language, the first is using a proper grammar, and the second, clear and easy understand instruction, and the third, instruction using the right structure, and the fourth, exercise developed using good grammar and grammatically correctly. And the form of assessment, there will be three what I can take. And the first is I will talk about assessment theory in the development of teaching material. In the term of development of teaching material, Dick and Carey proposed the following to be assessed and considered, namely, the first, pay attention to decide your learning motivation, and the second, conformity of the material provided, and third, following the correct order, and the fourth, contain the required information, and there is a practice can provide feedback, and the last, tests are available in accordance with the material provided. And about Harjanto, in the assessment of teaching material, there are several aspects contained in amongst. A concept is an idea or general sense, such a renewable source of natural wealth. And the second, principle is the basic of principle to starting point of for thinking or is a guide to doing or doing something. And the third, fact are things to that happen or that have been done or experienced. It may be a thing, an object, or a state. So it's not something to be desired or opinion of a theory. And the fourth, a process of series of the change, movement of development. And the five, a value is a pattern, a size of type or model. The last is skill is ability doing to do doing things well. And next is B, a validation of feasibility develop teaching material or further study. This about validation of teaching material developed, it's done by first is test reliability of teaching material, and the second overall assessment of teaching material by the target user, and the last is test the achievement of learning score. And the next is the teaching material evaluation process in KTSP Socialization 2008. And the first is content electability component, and second language component, in third presentation component, fourth the graphic component, and five variable in evaluation. And that in the first is content electability. This component include conformity with SKKD, and B, comparability with the child development, and next, conformity with the needs of teaching material, and the truth of the substance of learning material, and E, benefit of for adding insight, and the last, conformity with moral value and social value. And the longer components in teaching material evaluation process in KTSP, this include reliability, clarity of information, conformity with a good and correct Indonesian rule, and the effective and efficient use of the language. And the third presentation component in KTSP include clarity of objective to be achieved, order of serving, giving motivation or attraction, interaction, and completeness of information. In the graphic of KTSP include the use of font, type and size, layout, and illustration, picture, photograph, and the last display design. In the variable in evaluation, in to provide the optimal result in evaluating teaching material, especially printed teaching material, a systematic and planned approach is needed. Ideally, evaluation is carried out for all aspects concerning the quality of printed teaching material. Each evaluation format has a primary focus that is tailored to the reason for the evaluation. In addition, the evaluation format is also research by paying attention to media to teaching material evaluated. Nah, and the evaluation of the teaching material is one step in the teaching material development cycle. With the completion and evaluation does not mean the cycle is complete. There's still one step that needs to be done, namely revising or perfecting printed teaching material in accordance with the result of the evaluation. I think that's enough for me for about the textbook assessment. No. About the textbook writing guideline and aspect of the textbook assessment. For me, if I have a wrong word about in the pronouns, I'm so sorry. And I think that's enough for me. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.